measuring and recording information. It may be doing monitoring on airborne dust or noise in a workplace such as a quarry. Dust is generated through mining activities, crushing, milling, and the production of dust in the workplace can potentially cause long-term health impacts. So quartz or silica as it can be called, is in high proportion throughout the Earth's crust. It is in a lot of geology. Silica is a very hard substance, and when it's crushed and broken into very small fractions, it can penetrate into the lungs and potentially cause long-term health issues such as silicosis. Coal dust can cause health impacts, so can quartz. A respirable quartz fraction, which is less than 0.005 millimeters in diameter, is a fraction that can go into the lungs and your body doesn't have the mechanisms to get rid of it, and it can cause long-term impacts. To put that into perspective, the human hair average diameter is approximately 80 microns, and the particle size for respirable quartz is less than 5 microns. So it's certainly invisible to the human. Monitoring is actually going into the workplace and monitoring the workers whilst they're doing their normal job. Obtaining a sample is fairly straightforward. The person wears a sampling train, which comprises a small pump, which is worn on their belt. That pump is connected to some plastic tubing, which is then connected to a sampling head. So you either monitor for respirable dust or inhalable dust. The Australian standard has a minimum sample time of 4 hours. Generally, I'd sample for 5 or 6 hours. Again, it depends on their shift length. You generally sample for the various tasks undertaken on site. For example, maybe someone working around the crusher, someone in a digger or a loader, and then maybe the supervisor who's running around doing a whole host of different tasks for the day. So you want to capture all the tasks that are undertaken on site. Once the results have been analysed, we report those results back in terms of milligrams per metre cubed. So that's worked out based on the pump rate of flow and the time in which the pumps run for. And then that result is compared to the exposure limits. There are 3 exposure limits for dust. These limits are legislated and should be followed by all operators. The monitoring is undertaken and the results are then analysed, and in terms of preparing the report, from start to finish, it would take approximately. Mine should undertake monitoring and obtain some baseline information and see what kind of results they get in the first instance. And then they may undertake monitoring every 1 to 5 years, depending on the results they get. The geology has a very important impact on the kind of results that may be obtained. Some geology is very high in quartz, and when you start crushing that material up, you may generate a lot of respirable dust with respirable quartz fractions in it. So you may undertake monitoring on a yearly basis. If a quarry records an exceedance, the people would go in and look as to why it occurred. They may put in some controls and then do some additional monitoring to see if the exceedance has been reduced to an acceptable.